Application of Tipek, special for poultry. Tipek, special for poultry, has the function of promoting proliferation, differentiation, and migration of intestinal epithelial cells, which can promote the growth of intestinal villi and repair intestinal epithelial injury. It has remarkable effect on improving digestion and absorption, controlling diarrhea, reducing mortality rate and FCR, so has shown high value in poultry variety. White feeder broiler is a represent of fast-growing and high feed rewards. In March 2018, we conducted an experiment of the effect of Tipek on the performance of AA plus white feeder broiler at a chicken farm in a group company in Shenyang City, Liaoning Province. A total of 158,240 one-day-old white broilers were randomly divided into two groups, each 79,120 birds for experimental group and control group, 2 buildings for each group, and 39,560 birds for each building, feeding basic ration for control group and basic ration and Tipek 100 grams per ton for experimental group. Experiment period were 43 days, and management is consistent with the farm management. The results show that the stool of the experimental group was more dry and easily formed than that of the control group. The addition of Tipek could effectively improve the morphology of feces, control diarrhea, and significantly reduce the proportion of diarrhea and pull-around disease. From the statistics, after the adding of Tipek, the production performance of the experimental group was improved significantly compared with that of the control group. The FCR of the experimental group was 1.61, that of the control group was 1.64. So FCR of the experimental group was 0.03 lower than that of the control group. The average weight in slaughter of experimental group was 2.862 kilograms, and that of the control group was 2.777 kilograms. So experimental group was 85 grams higher than that of the control group. The results show that Tipek could obviously improve weight gain, fecal morphology, and decrease the FCR of white feeder broiler, thus to improve economic benefit. Among the local chicken, Sanhuang chicken is a famous breed in China. It has tender meat and delicious taste, and is loved by civilians. In October 2017, we conducted an experiment on the effect of Tipek on the weight gain of Sanhuang chicken on later stage in a chicken farm of a group company in Guangdong Province. 6,000 Sanhuang chickens were selected with consistent body weight, age, and health, which were randomly divided into two groups, trial group and the control group. Each group has 3,000 birds and was divided into 3 replicates. Each replicate has 1,000 birds, feeding basic ration for control group, basic ration and 100 grams per ton Tipek for experimental group. The experiment period was 90 days to 135 days. Whole period were 45 days, and the feeding management was consistent with farm. The results show that the production performance of the experimental group was significantly improved compared with that of the control group after adding Tipek, among which average weight of slaughter was 3.1 kilograms in experimental group and 2.65 kilograms in control group. Experimental group was 450 grams higher than that of the control group. The survival rate of the experimental group was 92.63%. The control group was 91.31%, so the experimental group was 1.32% higher than that of the control group. This experiment shows Tipek can increase the weight gain and survival rate of Sanhuang chicken. In addition, meat goose is also favored by customers. Magang goose is one of the local fine goose species in Guangdong Province, which have a good meat quality and delicious taste. In July 2018, we conducted an experiment on the effect of Tipek on the production performance of Magang goose in a breeding farm of a group company in Guangdong Province. 4,000 one-day-old geese with the same body weight and health were randomly divided into two groups, the trial group and the control group, with 2,000 geese in each group, with 2 replicates in each group and 1,000 geese in each replicate. Feeding basic ration for control group, feeding basic ration and 100 grams per ton Tipek for experimental group. The experiment period was 65 days, and the feeding management was consistent with farm. The results show that the production performance of the experimental group was significantly improved compared with that of the control group after adding Tipek, among which average weight was 4.4 kg in experimental group and was 4.1 kg in control group. Experimental group was 300 grams higher than control group. The FCR of the experimental group was 3.26, the control group was 3.35, and the experimental group was 0.09 lower than that of control group. The survival rate was 93.2% in the experimental group and 90.9% in the control group. The experimental group was 2.3% higher than that of the control group. This experiment shows that Tipek can increase the weight and survival rate of Magang goose and decrease FCR. Recommended use scheme of Tipek: 100 grams per ton for poultry. Tipek is a revolutionary product aimed at the intestinal development of poultry, which can make up for the defects of intestinal dysplasia and intestinal epithelial damage in the process of production, greatly improve the production performance and the economic benefits of poultry.